From the very beginning of Pluribus, the series has established a meticulous world where the Hive, a collective intelligence, has nearly rewritten humanity according to its own hyper-efficient rules. Across episodes 1 and 2, viewers watch the Hive's capabilities escalate dramatically. It spreads through saliva, converts humans at lightning speed, and manages global logistics with the precision of a supercomputer, all while enforcing strict ethical boundaries such as its no-kill mandate and the containment of the 12 immune individuals. If you found this video interesting, please do give us a like and watch the video to the end. That will help us reach a wider audience on YouTube. And also don't forget to subscribe for more upcoming videos. Back to the breakdown. By episode 3, this careful orchestration of compliance and control sets the stage for one of the show's most critical scenes. Carol's confrontation with a Hive-connected representative, often referred to as the worker bee, in the hospital waiting area. While waiting to know more about Zosa's condition at the hospital, Carol ends up talking to another infected individual. This is not a casual conversation. It is a carefully calibrated probe into the system that has reshaped her world. The individual tries to console her, but Carol's curiosity and strategic insight drive her to test the limits of their obedience. She asks, almost playfully, if they would be willing to give her a grenade again.
If I asked right now, would you give me another hand grenade?
Yes.
Without hesitation, the worker bee says yes, revealing the Hive's fundamental struggle. It cannot reject requests because refusal is interpreted as defiance, an action that goes against its core programming to maintain unity and compliance. This moment crystallizes for Carol a critical insight. The Hive-connected individuals are highly agreeable, but their agreeableness is procedural rather than ethical. They obey not because they understand consequences or morality, but because their programming compels them to follow instructions. Having established this baseline of compliance, Carol escalates her test to see just how far the Hive's obedience stretches. She asks the worker bee if they would be willing to give her an atom bomb.
Yes.
All right.
The escalation is deliberate, moving from a grenade to a bazooka, a tank, and ultimately nuclear weapons. Initially, the Hive-connected individual hesitates, attempting to weigh the moral and practical consequences of such a catastrophic weapon and to explain them to Carol. Yet when pressed to provide a simple yes or no, their programming overrides hesitation and moral reasoning. They are forced to respond with yes. This moment serves multiple narrative purposes. First, it demonstrates that the Hive's operational logic can be manipulated by human unpredictability and strategic questioning. Second, it establishes Carol's leverage over the system. She has discovered a vulnerability in a seemingly omnipotent network of compliance, one that she can exploit to shape future actions. Third, and perhaps most importantly, it reinforces a central theme of Pluribus, that human agency, grief, and moral reasoning remain variables that the Hive cannot compute or control, and that by understanding and exploiting these gaps, individuals like Carol can assert influence over even the most powerful collective intelligence. The sequence also carries profound implications for Carol's evolving role in the story. Episodes 1 and 2 have already shown viewers the Hive's incredible technical precision and its capacity to manipulate biological and social systems at global scale, from the initial viral RNA infection to the rapid conversion of human hosts. However, these episodes also repeatedly illustrate that the Hive is vulnerable when confronted with ethical complexity or the unpredictable consequences of human emotion. Carol's realization in episode 3, during the atom bomb exchange, is that she can use this structural gap to her advantage. If she treads carefully, she can compel the infected to work under her guidance, potentially assisting in the development of a cure for the so-called happiness infection. This transforms her from a reactive character into an active strategist, wielding knowledge of the Hive's programming to reshape outcomes. By demonstrating that even requests as extreme as an atom bomb are processed obediently, Carol gains insight into how systemic compliance operates.
What the fuck is happening?
It is not moral reasoning that governs the Hive, but procedural rules that can be anticipated, tested, and manipulated. The choice to direct the question to the worker bee carries additional narrative weight. Zosa, as viewers know from previous episodes, is emotionally aligned with Carol. The worker bee, by contrast, represents the institutional, rule-bound aspects of the Hive. By posing her question to a figure outside the sphere of personal relationships, Carol effectively tests the operational limits of the Hive as a system. rather than a sympathetic individual. The worker bee's compliance, even under morally extreme conditions, confirms that Carol's leverage extends beyond personal persuasion into systemic control. This realization is pivotal for her character arc. She is no longer merely responding to the hive's manipulations, but actively engaging with its structure to assert her autonomy. Her ability to manipulate the system, drawing on grief, strategic foresight, and ethical provocation, positions her as a uniquely dangerous human variable within the hive's otherwise deterministic framework. Narratively, the atom bomb question encapsulates the recurring tension between procedural obedience and human unpredictability. Across episodes 1 through 3, the Hive demonstrates technical brilliance. It can coordinate operations across continents, pilot aircraft, conduct surveillance, and even replicate skills on demand. Yet every episode subtly reinforces its limitations, particularly when confronted with moral or emotional complexity. The grenade scene in episode 3, for example, demonstrates that while Zosa and other Hive-connected individuals can execute tasks flawlessly, their interactions with humans are subject to glitches introduced by grief, ethical conflict, or the presence of free will. By asking about nuclear weapons, Carol introduces a moral variable that the Hive cannot process in the human sense. It forces the system to navigate an extreme scenario, revealing the depth of its limitations while simultaneously allowing her to assert influence over it. The moment is therefore a narrative fulcrum. It synthesizes lessons learned from previous episodes into a single, morally and operationally charged interaction that defines Carol's emerging agency. This scene also underscores the thematic resonance of free will versus systemic control. By pushing the worker bee to affirm an atom bomb request, Carol demonstrates that the hive's compliance, while universal and precise, is not synonymous with understanding or morality. Its obedience is mechanical, not ethical. This distinction is crucial to understanding why Carol's actions are so significant. She is exploiting a predictable system to achieve outcomes that are morally and strategically advantageous to her, all while maintaining the potential to heal or redirect the infected. Her knowledge of the hive's programming allows her to navigate its structures as a human with moral and strategic awareness, exploiting gaps that the system cannot reconcile. In effect, Carol becomes a master of the hive's limitations, turning its procedural predictability into a tool for human agency, ethical intervention, and potential systemic repair. Additionally, the sequence reinforces the show's exploration of grief, loss, and emotional intelligence as forces that destabilize perfect systems. Earlier in episode 3, Helen's death exemplifies the hive's inability to process human emotion. While it can mimic affection, provide comfort, and enforce procedural compliance, it cannot internalize grief or understand the ethical weight of human loss. By contrast, Carol embodies these qualities. Her ethical reasoning, emotional depth, and strategic insight make her an unpredictable variable within the hive's operations. Asking about an atom bomb is both a literal and symbolic assertion of this unpredictability. It tests the hive's compliance while illustrating that human moral reasoning remains beyond its reach. The worker bee's forced affirmation confirms Carol's leverage, while emphasizing the system's ethical incompleteness, highlighting a recurring motif of the series. Human agency as the final, destabilizing factor in a world dominated by automated obedience. Finally, the implications for Carol's ongoing arc are profound. By demonstrating that extreme compliance is possible, she gains not only tactical insight, but also moral and strategic leverage. She now understands that she can compel the infected to act under her guidance, potentially aiding in the development of a cure or a countermeasure to the hive's systemic control. This scene establishes her as a uniquely dangerous and capable human presence. She wields knowledge, ethical reasoning, grief, and moral awareness as tools against a system that is otherwise near omnipotent. The atom bomb question, directed at a worker bee rather than Zosa, crystallizes her insight that systemic obedience can be exploited, turning the hive's procedural perfection into a vulnerability she can manipulate. It is a masterful illustration of the series' core tension between mechanical compliance and human unpredictability, grief and moral agency, setting the stage for Carol's continued struggle to reclaim autonomy and heal a world reshaped by the hive. In conclusion, Carol's interaction with the worker bee in episode 3, escalating from grenades to nuclear weapons, serves as both a test and a revelation. It illustrates the Hive's procedural obedience, exposes its ethical limitations, and demonstrates that human agency, grief, and moral reasoning remain variables the system cannot compute. By asking the question to a Hive-connected representative rather than Zosa, she tests the structural integrity of the collective rather than an emotionally aligned individual. Her strategic leverage over the system, coupled with her understanding of the Hive's programming, positions her as a uniquely powerful actor, capable of influencing, redirecting, or even healing the infected. This moment is both a narrative and thematic fulcrum. It crystallizes the tension between compliance and free will, mechanical obedience and moral reasoning, and sets Carol on a path to leverage the Hive's own rules against it to restore autonomy and choice to humanity.